right scene up. There we go. Got the right scene up.
Good timing.
What is happening, Luke?
What is cooking, my man?
So to answer your question, Halloween was fantastic. My kids got, Halloween isn't just a one-day event for us because we go to a lot of trunk or treats that lead
Right.
into it. So my kids get more candy than they'll ever be able to eat. Honestly, if I'm being honest,
Honestly.
I eat probably more of the candy than they do. And it messes with me. But what's funny is that typically I think I may have shared this with you before, but my in-laws, my mother-in-law comes to visit, my sister-in-law is going to be coming to visit, bring the kids over Christmas. And typically what they do is they pick up the candy and they go back to the Middle East and they take all this candy to the children of the country of Jordan. They don't have what we have. I don't think anybody really has what we have.
That's a nice little treat for them. But yeah, absolutely. There's
the amount of candy, because my sister-in-law, she lives in this nice. It's called, I can't remember what the neighborhood's called, but it's a really nice subdivision within in Dubai.
Yeah.
And so Dubai's population is like 95% expat, so it's a melting pot of Europeans and Americans and such. So they do their best to do the Halloween, but the kids were complaining. Like my kids go up and they get like these big candy bars and they're like, hey, just take one handful. And they take this handful and they get this massive amount of candy. Whereas in the neighborhood in Dubai, they're like, okay, here's one piece of candy.
here's one Hershey Kiss for you, or one Dum Dum.
It's that big. So my niece and nephew, they're like looking and see what their cousins got, and they're like, what's going on here?
Wait a minute.
Culture.
Yeah, that's funny. We did a couple trunk or treats, and I think next year I'm going to probably do more of them, because I went to the store and I probably spent almost like $200 on candy this year.
Wow.
And it was like I was like, I don't remember it being so bad. Like, and I still didn't even feel like I had enough. I mean, I thankfully didn't run out, but I probably should have co-opted some of my kids' candy, because my oldest is to the stage now where he's making runs, like coming home, dumping it off, going back out.
Oh, see, we just took bags.
So
my kids got to drop. They their bags got full, so they dumped it in on the parents, and it's a good thing I've been rucking, because I bet you I had. I would say that, God, 5 to 10 pounds on each arm. Like it was
your 100 days of rucking really came in.
Really has.
Came in clutch there. That's hilarious. Yeah. We were cruising in. We cruise. Apparently, everybody in my neighborhood just cruises their golf carts. Everybody's got their drinks and their speakers, and they're just at a slow snail's pace, just cruising around. It's pretty entertaining.
We definitely have first world problems. I mean, that's.
Yes.
You probably had a traffic jam in front of some of the houses with the different golf carts, and the kids are getting too much food and
too much candy.
Too much candy.
Golf cart traffic jam.
So talking about, we try to keep these things in regards to real estate and mortgages and such, and then of course technology. I haven't watched it yet, but I get these alerts from different people on YouTube and such, and I like to find some time to listen to them on 2 times the speed, because people typically talk slow. But the one I got one channel, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I think the title says it all. In fact, let me see if I can free up some bandwidth here, because you're getting a little bit fuzzy on this. So, but it's from a channel that I follow, Sachs Realty. and I'll share my screen with you.
Okay.
And what he said, here, I'll just show it to you, and then we can talk about it. But worst housing market of the 21st century. Now, again, I haven't watched it. I haven't watched this one. I don't think it'll be a bait and switch. He's had Peter Schiff. The way I discovered this guy a while back, he was on the Peter Schiff. He had Peter Schiff as a guest. So, legitimate. Guy has 188,000 subscribers. So I'm going to listen to it. But I found it interesting, and I'm seeing the narrative more and more and more that things are going, well, you and I have talked about it. Things are going sideways. The Feds did a 50-point rate cut, a month ago? And rates are back over 7. Absolutely did nothing. It was a drop in the bucket.
Right.
And then you see gold hitting all-time highs. Gold's like at $27.50 now.
That's pretty remarkable.
You and I were starting to talk about it. I mean, gold. I mean, it's had like a really, really bull run. It's getting kind of ignored. Gold stocks are actually. I'm surprised that those aren't taking off more so than they're at. But we're starting to see a lot of different changes. I'm starting to see a lot of different agents are freaking out. Interestingly, I think they're late to the party. If they just started freaking out, I think they're a little bit late to the party. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair to say they're freaking out because not everyone is. But I see a lot of them they're doing the same thing, and they're confused why they're not getting the same results. Their results are less. What do you think about that?
I think there's, something that we talked about a while ago where a lot of the like talking heads, so to speak, will continue on with like the rah like positivity just because, who wants to be the Debbie Downer that's like, raining on everybody's parade. So, when there's like the vast majority of people are just constantly getting this like rah, but then, they start to get into the holiday behavior and starting to, those combination of like not, taking a real hard look at things for what they are. And, people, there's been a lot of culling of the herd over the course of the last couple years. So the folks that still have their hat in the ring, there's a lot of people that are hoping, waiting for things to kind of turn around. But then there's the other folks that are like accepting of like, hey, this is the reality of the situation. So yeah, we're definitely, the people that I'm chatting with, they definitely seem to have a good sense of like, I've weathered the storm this far, like I'm not going to quit now type of a deal. But there's a very like clear sense of like, I need to take action. But those are the people that I'm speaking with. They're specifically coming directly to me and my team to do something about their situation.
It's interesting that you just brought that up. So I was in Oklahoma this week. I just got home like on Wednesday night, and went and visited a really large company in Tulsa. They have like 900 agents, and I was, they did this event and like half of them showed up, so it was like 400 or 500 agents there. And what's interesting is that the topics that were of interest are the same topics that they've always been. Social media, how to generate leads via social media. And there's a great speaker there that talked about it. And then I read this article, or not an article, but a thread on X this morning. I don't know why people still refer to X as Twitter. It's crazy. But I read it on X this morning, and it was talking about Mark Zuckerberg. He made the decision to buy Instagram. It was like $1 billion or something like that. And he did it rather unorthodox it was a deal that just got streamlined really, really quick. He didn't really talk to the board. And what it said was that Mark Zuckerberg saw that, we talk about social media, about connecting people. Mm-hmm. And it's not about connecting people. Instagram is all about getting attention. Mm-hmm. And God, I'm going to have to go back and screenshot that, because that's the one thing that we often talk about. And one of the things I often say is that the person who has the most popular person is the one who's going to get the business.
Right.
So you're trying to grab people's attention, because in this market, as well with any market, the name of the game above all else is lead generation.
Yeah.
You want more deals? You want more loans? You want to sell more houses? You want more commission checks? You need to get out and you need to throw more lines in the water, and you need to generate more leads. Because right now, your conversion rate on those leads is going to be lower than what it has been in the past. So you need to increase the volume of those leads. I mean, I think it's simple math.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I mean, I'm thinking about the Instagram deal. That was pretty remarkable at the time. People were like poo-pooing his that choice, and the funny something I want to say that company was like less than like 6 months old at the time.
Well, in that thread, what I learned was that it was only on iOS. It wasn't right. Much of anything. But what caught his attention is, number one, Twitter was in active conversations with him. But number two is that they just released it on Android, and in a very short period of time, they got 1 million downloads just like that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's going to be eye-raising. And then that's, let me see if where's my phone? So, but I think you're right. Yeah, you're probably right.
It was something wild, like I want to say it's like less than 180 days, like less than 6 months old from like inception, which is insane. Like, obviously in hindsight, he absolutely he turned around and bought WhatsApp for like 19 billion or something, like years later, which, I mean, WhatsApp is obviously huge, but not so much in our market.
And he gave him complete creative control on the Instagram side. Okay, so I just asked Grok. Grok is getting super powerful. Like, it's like, you see what Elon Musk is doing to NVIDIA with all those machines putting in. Like, that dude is, he's definitely, we're living in an interesting age to have someone so smart doing a lot of things. And you know what? He's funny. The things that come out of his mouth.
It's freaking hilarious, dude.
He's funny. Okay, so Mark Zuckerberg's decision to acquire Instagram for approximately $1 billion in 2012 was influenced by several strategic considerations. Number one, competitive threat. Leaked emails from Zuckerberg revealed that he viewed Instagram as a potential disruptor. Enhancing mobile experience. At the time, Instagram had about 30 million users, but its platform was particularly strong on mobile devices. So, Grok, I'm not going to read all of this, but it was pretty interesting. The key thing that I took from that is the focus on connection versus attention. Mm-hmm. I think maybe TikTok is kind of moving into that realm, has moved into that realm as well.
The short form video, TikTok, I mean, specifically, I mean, it's there's the component of it where you don't have to have like a following to get views, which I think just recently over the more more recent social media trends. I mean, that's a huge opening for a lot of people, because so many people get stuck up on like, I don't have a following, or I don't, this and that, kind of like a an Instagram thing where that's not necessarily the case these days. You don't need to have that. Like you don't have to. You can get it without having to put in that like insane amount of legwork that you used to have to do in the past. Like took a good amount of effort to build up an audience and have followers and views and so on, where it's not the case anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, everything's very interesting. The one thing that I was sharing with people while I was talking is, and you know what? Let me look this up as while we're talking. Is the one thing is I'm like, look, whenever most people say digital strategy, they're automatically going to, in my experience, start thinking about social media, and the other half to that equation, which is probably more than half of the equation that people don't really pay a whole lot of attention to, is search. Yeah. And so let me go ahead and share my screen again. So what is the market cap for Alphabet? So when you look at the Alphabet, it used to be a 3 times. So now it's 2 trillion. Wow. Okay. So what is the market cap for Meta? 1.4. Wow, they came up. So, but when you look at it used to be a 3 multiple. It used to be the Alphabet, YouTube, and YouTube and Google. Yeah. It used to be that was like a 1.5 trillion, but now it's 2.12 trillion. But then when you looked at Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, they were like 500 million, but they're now 1.5 trillion. So it is almost even Steven if you're just looking at market cap. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is a lot of real estate professionals, a lot of mortgage professionals, we don't even need to really focus on just that profession. Let's just say sales professionals, their big thing is focusing strictly on organic social. Right. Whereas you have search and social, and then you have organic and paid. So you have a variety of different combinations to really choose from. And when you look at the market cap, if you're only focusing on organic social, man, that's a hard road to hoe, because that's only 1/4. That's only utilizing at best 25% of the possible potential, because now you need to have a paid social, you should have an organic search, and you should have a paid search. And there's a variety of different other things that you can do on that. But there's a lot of noise out there too. What do you think? What if you had to start over today, knowing now what you know, knowing what you know now then, and you had to start over at scratch, what would be the action items that you would do?
If it was me, well, first off, I mean, me personally, versus like general broad, like, so on like a more broad spectrum is really taking a hard look at yourself and like, doing an inventory of like something that you think you could do consistently on an ongoing basis, and not try to do something that that's like just so far out of your wheelhouse that that you can't continue to do it ongoing. For me, like if I'm in real estate and I'm growing my business, I'm just doing like YouTube videos of neighborhoods and stuff. That's it. Like, as much of that as I can. And then probably, a combination of some TikToks and some Instagram reels, or the same things, but taking those videos and chopping them up and putting some B-roll on them and adding some hooks.
So making the YouTube as your long form content, and then just editing that into short form content, repurposing it to use that. So I have that, if you remember that circle of content, how it goes with area, neighborhood, property. Yeah. I've been talking about that for how long? I've been less than 1% of real estate agents actually. It's a great idea on day one. It's probably still a great idea on day 2, But day 3, 4, 5, they start forgetting about it and they start getting back into their old habits. And
Your that strategy, and like I know, I mean, some of the things that you had mentioned to that approach were, um, if it was for me, would not be sustainable. Previewing like 5 properties a
there's
day.
no way.
That's just like that's just way. But I could preview 1 property a week, and guess what? After 1 year, I'd have 52 different neighborhoods and school districts and this and that I'd be able to like touch on, which is.
But what's interesting with this is I don't think that you really need to go out now. When I initially, now I do see that there's value in previewing property, like physically previewing the property.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get into all the inside. Now, previewing property, open houses, there used to be a very specific reason for that. There was a utility to it. The utility is that we didn't have the internet. It wasn't, or the internet isn't what it was then, what it is now. And so the only way you could get information is by previewing the property or going to an open house. See, that's not the same anymore. Like you can get the same amount of information. Now, I still think there's value in driving by the property. If you've ever seen a bad picture online, you have to accept the fact that was the best picture that they could put in there. Nobody puts the worst picture. So if it's a bad picture, so I still think there's value, but you're right. But you know what? This isn't your full-time gig. If this was your full-time gig, and really when I say 5 properties, look, you do 30 of those. You've got your talk track down. You've got your format down.
Right.
You've gone from being really bad to being pretty good in a 30-day period of time. You add another 60 days onto that. We've talked about the 100-day effect. You're now like one of the best people there. And so, it took this much time before, but after probably 30, 60, 90 days, it's going to slowly take into this much time.
Right.
And you don't have to make individual videos. You can make one video. You could make one video for the week. You could be the reporter on the area of that, because that's the key thing. You have to be a reporter. Otherwise, you're marketing somebody else's property, and you don't want to do that. So, but I agree with you. It's interesting how many people don't do it. In fact, I think if we go back on maybe 6, 7 videos that we've done, I told you that I was a little frustrated because people would get started and not do it. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get it and just kind of prove it. I'm going to get a lot of attention. Look, number one, I can't compete because of my commitments. I can't go back into selling houses. Number two, don't want to anyways. So I can refer them out though. So I think I need to go back into doing that.
Do you have enough time baked into your travel where you could preview a property in whatever city you're visiting?
Oh, wow. That's a good idea.
Because then you could just like very easily have it like every city I visit, I'm going to do one property, right? And it's like, you don't.
It's really easy to do it. I'll just get off the airport and pull up Zillow or Realtor.com or whatnot, and just
reach out to the list of people that you have that you're meeting with wherever and say, hey, who's got a property? And like that could very well be incorporated into your talk. I did this before I came to this meeting here. There's no excuse that you can't do it yourself.
You know what? That's genius. And the answer is yes, because, and you've heard me say this before, you will always make time for things that are important.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start looking at other people, you look at Elon Musk, look at everything that dude accomplishes in a day. You look at a lot of different of these really highly successful people. Now, granted, they have handlers, they have a lot of people. They didn't start there. Right. And I remember a story with Elon Musk when he was developing out PayPal that him and his brother would sleep on a couch in like their office, and they would take turns coding versus, doing, one would sleep while the others coded. Right. It was crazy. So, but no, I think I'm going to do that. You heard it here first. I'm going to New Jersey on. I'm doing the red eye on Sunday, so
Okay.
I'm going to go to New Jersey. Probably start out. I'll probably start out with just finding a property and going and checking it out. Maybe I have some time to figure out and just meet up with somebody. But I think what I want to do is just duplicate my model, not necessarily, and then just post it. I think I'll do a new. I'll end up probably. No, I'm going to do a how-to. I'll keep it on my channel, and I'll just do a how-to, and then I'll probably end up creating a separate YouTube page just to show that it can be done and see what kind of. So this will be the how-to kind of behind the scenes, whereas I'll probably create another channel that's specific to the consumer, the buyers and sellers. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you should just do one. I think you should do like just do a single take, or like, hey, I'm Brett. Like, I work with real estate agents. We talk about doing this and that, and here's kind of an example of what we would do. So like, do it and talk about doing it.
It's a good idea.
You just have here's kind of my one of the reasons I say that, or kind of a bouncing ball along that same topic. Like when we have people come in and they're like, I want to market to B2C, but I also want to market, and I'm speaking from like a lender standpoint, and I also want to market to agents. I'm like, don't separate them. Market to everybody all the same, because they're going to see you, and don't separate the audiences. Like,
well, that's a good idea. So you're one person. You're not.
Show your leads that you're also talking to agents. Show your agent. Yeah, you're not talking. You're not separate, and it's like you're everywhere doing all the things. And you just seem like they're like, oh, this guy is moving, shaking. He's talking with agents. He's talking with homeowners or home buyers. So it's I
really like that idea.
Send all your marketing to everybody.
It's more along the line of just.
And just keep it simple.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
I mean, especially on like an individual level. Unless you're have a gigantic team with like somebody's specific job title is just that one thing, like, just keep it simple.
Yeah, I like it. I think I'm going to do that. Well, look, we're coming up on time. Where are we at? 9 o'clock Pacific. So I think that's a really good ending on what we're going to do. So by this time next week, I will have gone and come back from New Jersey. So We'll talk about that. Talk about a hook for next one, and talk about holding myself accountable and committed, because it'll really suck if I come on to this and I'm like, no, Luke, I didn't do it. It was a great idea, but I didn't do it.
That was a great idea.
So we're going to do it. Maybe I can find an open house.
Make it happen.
Man. Talk to you later.
Rock and roll.
Bye.